How you doing, everybody? I'm Devry. Sound good, Dan? Okay. Now we're gonna set up a camera. We got the camera case. We have the parts case. Make sure that the names match. They're all named after Simpsons characters, thanks to Kenton. Fat Tony, those match. You grab a tripod. This is the first step. So, unzip the bag. Take out the tripod. Undo that strap there. That just keeps the legs together. You're gonna pull this out. And then this has a lock at the bottom. For now, you can lock that. And the first step you want to do, and this is important, make sure you crank those to the unlock position. And do the bottom one, not the top one. That way, when we pull it up like this and lock it, if you need to go higher with these, you can do so. But if it was the other way around, it'd be a lot more work. The spreader. Sometimes if you're on top of a press box, you're gonna need to be up really high. So let's say you're up like that. Well, now you got a problem because you need to have your two legs in front of you. Usually that's always a good rule of thumb, have the two in front. Well, you got this in your way. Spreader is gonna help you narrow it up. Not that narrow, you want it to be wide enough, but it's got a little give to it. And then I'd obviously lower it a little bit. Press box is, you usually want to be probably about what, shoulder high? Maybe a little less?
Depends on how tall the sidewall is of the press box.
What he said. So then, yeah, you'd make sure you'd re-level. It's good to level the camera or level the tripod head before you get the camera on, but you can do it with it on. It's good to get a general idea of where you're at. So yeah, the spreader, what I did there is I narrowed it up. There's the unlock and the lock. So just make sure when you do lock it, you make sure you kind of pull the legs out so it sets and it's steady. I will set this up low for reference, just like that. So the next step is going to be you get the camera. So set that down, open her up, and there she is. Oh, that's not the camera. We got to open that anyway. Here's the camera. It's been a while. Okay, so there's the camera. So the next thing you do is you put the plate on. So the way this is going to work, you're going to put this in the back. Make sure that the part that looks like a pizza is going forward. That just, pizza? It is. Just slide that in.
What kind of pizza do you eat?
Only the best. Umbria Pizzeria. So see how that's locked? This is going to lock it. You're going to have to adjust that later once you get the camera on. All right, the next step, take the camera carefully out of the case, stick the lens cap in there, and shut it. This part, see the pizza here? It's going to line up with this pizza. And then this is going to lock into this. So it will just kind of do it like magic here. You get that, make sure it feels good, push it forward, and wait for the sound. Get locked in. Double check that for sure. And then the way that is removed is you pull this back, pull it out, and you'll just feel it release. So again, putting it on, it's in. Very important here is this lock. This is your walk away lock. When you're not using the camera, make sure this is on. That's going to prevent the head from moving. It's a hard lock. These are the soft locks. So make sure those are loose when you're setting it up. Make sure the hard lock is on. The next step, I usually do the viewfinder next. Now, the other thing I want to say is with most cameras, with viewfinders like this, make sure that the tri-X is not plugged in. So this is going to slide on a lot like the camera with the plate. It just locks in. And then the way you remove that is you push the one on the right side in and the one on the left side, the tabs. Pull that out, it comes right off. So that's pretty easy, it just locks right in. This is going to plug in up here to the viewfinder connection. And make sure the cable's facing towards the lens. Just pushes in. Don't twist it or anything. And once you have that plugged in, then you can plug your triax in. Make sure that that's plugged in before you plug in the triax, because that can mess up the viewfinder on some cameras. All right, we'll put the handles on next, since Dan wants me to do it like that. So the way this works, just like a screw, you just twist it. Getting a good close-up. On both sides, you have 2 arms, and that will be where your zoom and focus controls go. So, and you can set this up kind of, you can do it like this, you can do it like this, you can do it however you feel comfortable operating. It's really up to the operator. Everyone's got their own thing. And that's the same with the zoom control. I'll show you a couple ways people do it. So you'll untwist that. And so some people like the zoom to be on the top, some people like to be on the bottom. So I'll show you both ways. So this is a clamp that goes onto the arm. So I'm just going to loosen that up. And then the way that works is you want to make sure that the grooves are fitting along the arm. Might have to loosen it up a little bit to get it on there. Tighten that up very tight. You don't want that going anywhere when you're running the camera. Squeaking is good. And then this will plug in, and this is another very important thing, to this one. So the way that this is gonna go in is you just kind of lightly twist it around, and once you find the sweet spot where it plugs in, you just push in. There's no twisting. It's very important. When you take that out, it's the same thing. You pull on this little this part. You pull on that, and that is going to loosen it. So there's in, there's out, okay? All right. Some people like to set up their zoom control on the bottom as well. You can turn it like this, and you can set it up on the bottom as well. I kind of like to do the bottom because then have it kind of up like that, and then you don't have a bar kind of in the way, but it's really up to you. So there's that. That's the zoom. Here's the focus. So there's a line here and there's a line here. You want to line them up. So I just spin this until I feel it's spinning, and then you just tighten that. Make sure it's tightened all the way so it's not loose. And then it's the same thing with the line. So I'm spinning this. See how that's spinning? It's just a mechanical. Get that connected to the arm. Make sure you loosen this so it can go on the arm. Your head's spinning. Probably right about now. So you tighten that. Might squeak. That's good. And then here is the same thing. The way I plugged it in. This is the module. That's going to make this focus turn. So I'll spin it here. And then go ahead and stick her in. And right there. Once you see that spinning, you can tighten it up. Sometimes these can be kind of tough to make the connection to tighten it. So just make sure you're kind of pushing up while you're tightening. So now we can plug in the cable. I take the triax, the female end, and you're gonna just plug it in right here. That's really simple. You just push it. Make sure your cable's where you want it to be. You don't want to be stepping on it while you're running it. So some people will go out through the front, so it's kind of out of their way. Just make sure you're not tripping on it. Make sure it's strain relieved. You don't want to be pulling on the connection while you're on camera. Then the way to take the triax out, you push up on this part here. This moves, push that up, and then just pull. Give it a little wiggle. But you can't pull on it when that's not up. So you got to push that part up and then pull. So that's that. So camera, if the cable's connected to the truck, it'll probably power up. The other thing you'll make sure you want to have is just make sure it's secure. So if you're going to put a sandbag on it, there's a hook here. You want to make sure that hook's kind of facing towards you. You don't want it at the front. You want this kind of right where you are operating the camera, towards the back. And that we have sandbags with strings on them. It'll hang down. Do not put it on the spreader because it'll break. Looks like this one already was broken once. Sometimes we'll tape feet down with gaff tape. So You know, with that, it's just tape kind of right at the base, like kind of like that, and do 4 pieces of tape, I would say, is usually pretty good. So that would be a good tape job. That's not going anywhere. Kind of more one of the finer things. Underneath here is a ball to level the head. So if I loosen it by just turning it, that whole head is spinning and moving and creaking. There's a bubble here, and that's just like any level. Boom, right there is the middle. So I'm gonna lock that in. So that, make sure it's tight, make sure everything's tight. Once you're kind of set up here, you're gonna wanna make sure you're balanced. Make sure, you know, everything's tight. This was kind of sliding on me already, so make sure it's tight. And then you're gonna make sure that it's level. So I'll take the hard lock off, and the way I did that is I just pulled it to the right, and now it's free. Make sure your soft locks are off so that you can kind of get a feel for it, and then you can bring your drags down to 0. The drag is basically just the resistance. So this is your tilt drag, this is your pan drag. So I got them at 0, and you can see it's going way back. So I've got to slide the plate forward so that all the weight shifts to the front, and I'm already getting a little closer. It needs to go back a little bit, and that feels pretty good. You'll just want to make sure that that's a comfortable spot for you so that it's, you know, comfortable to run. And you want to do that after you have everything on, because I pull this down, all of a sudden the weight is back again. So make sure you have it set where you want it, and just adjust as you go. Then you can turn your drags on. You can see it gets a little more resistant as I up it. I usually like running around 3 or 4, but it's really up to each person. I like to do 3 or 4 on tilt and drag. What do you like, Dan? Same? Yeah. So 3 or 4 is a good, if you're not sure, set it to there. It gives you, you know, enough where you're more smooth, but also where you're not like fighting against it too much. If it's sunny out too, we've got hoodmans, and these go around the viewfinder. But generally these cover them up pretty well if it's a really sunny day and you got the sun at your back. This kind of fits really snug around here. So the way you do that is it's just Velcro, and it's really, really tight. Not a lot of leeway with that, but now you're looking through a tunnel instead of squinting all the time. You got a little bit of, you know what I mean? Shooting sports. All right. I don't need it though. Matt likes that. So that's how you set up a camera. I am such a good on-air talent.
So hot.